Once you play a little bit better on Saturdays, you start to factor in to the play on a Sunday, such as the case with Minnesota under PJ Fleck and the NFL draft upcoming this weekend. We got Daniel House on the line from Skor North and also from Gopher Hole. Daniel, we appreciate you stopping by. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you're staying safe with everything going on right now.
Absolutely. You as well. Certainly a serious situation out there, and we hope everybody takes the wise precautions to keep everyone that they know and love safe and healthy. Antoine Winfield, pretty healthy career there at Minnesota, coming off a big interception season, ball hawk premier. Should factor pretty well in the NFL draft coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Antoine Winfield could be picked in the late first round, early second. I actually have him as the top safety on my top 200 board. Him and Grant Delpit are really close together within 3 spots. The versatility he can provide for an NFL team, playing in a couple different coverage schemes possibly, can easily go to nickel, primary outside corner, projects best as a safety, but he fits the skill set of those guys like Earl Thomas and Tyrann Mathieu, and actually tested better than those guys when you look at relative athletic scores. So teams wanted to see where Winfield would stack up to his dad, and actually it was pretty close. It was a 9.34 RAS score for Winfield Sr., 7.85 for his son. So pretty close. And Winfield shattered expectations when you compare him to other players with comparable skill sets like Tyrann Mathieu and Earl Thomas in the 3 and 5 range of the RAS scores out of 10. So Winfield will be coveted because of his versatility, and teams can use him in a lot of different ways.
Got Daniel House on the line from Skor North and Gopher Hole, breaking down the Minnesota projections toward the NFL draft coming up this weekend. Also on defense, Carter Coughlin, probably not drafted. Will he show up in an NFL camp? I'm sure he will, but do you expect him to be drafted?
After the scouting combine, he started to gain a lot of momentum. He actually could be picked in the 6th round. That's around the projection where NFL draft analysts, including myself, have him right now. The thing about Carter Coughlin is he played rush end at Minnesota. Now he'll convert to off-ball linebacker. When you look at the entire class of linebackers, after the first few guys in the first and second rounds, it really drops off, and you're looking for guys that can fit multiple schemes, have versatility. Carter Coughlin can do that. 3-4 hybrid linebacker, it seems like the best fit for him. However, I would honestly invest in him as a 4-3 outside linebacker if I was a team that had a little time and some depth. He can contribute on special teams for a while, but his athleticism is fantastic. 9.81 RAS after his scouting combine workouts. That's where he really started to gain some attention. So Carter Coughlin realistically could be picked in the NFL draft in the late rounds. But with everything going on with COVID-19, we don't know how these late round guys are going to project. Coughlin has a benefit that he was at the Senior Bowl and the scouting combine and did everything at that. So definitely an advantage.
There also seems to be an advantage. There's a theory, at least out there, that the guys that showed up on tape as opposed to the workout warriors should factor in better without most of the pro days being eliminated. And certainly he did that, making more plays in the opposing backfield than any Minnesota defender last year. 15 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks among his 48 total stops. Daniel, Tyler Johnson, of course, a big playmaker throughout his career at Minnesota, a wide receiver, unlike anything we've seen in Minnesota for a while. Now we'll see the Rashad Bateman in particular. Obviously, he's projected to be a top wide receiver in the collegiate game and then projecting forward. But for right now, Tyler Johnson, where do you see him placed? The draft boards that I don't see, that I see aren't real favorable.
Yeah, with so much wide receiver talent, I have 12 receivers with round 1 and 2 grades right now. He's at 16 out of 30 graded players, so he's right in the middle of the pack. I have him 101 out of 200 on my big board. So 3rd round, late 3rd round, early 4 potentially if things slide. It's so tough to project these receivers because you have so many that are clustered together in the late 2nd, then the 3rd, and early 4. There's so many guys on that spectrum that it's really difficult to know exactly where everyone's going to go. But Tyler, I really wanted to see how he would test. He didn't run at the scouting combine. He's going to do it at his pro day. Then the pro day got canceled. My guess, when I compare Tyler Johnson, I see a lot of similarities to Mohamed Sanu, player that PJ Fleck coached at Rutgers, actually. Testing would have probably been pretty similar. Scouts really wanted to see his straight line speed. What would his 40 time be? We know he has the explosiveness, the ability to go up and get the football. His vertical jump would have been above average. You see that on his basketball film. Minnesota, when they needed a play, they were going to Tyler Johnson. And he, despite his size, he's not a 6'3" wide receiver. He can go up and get the football in the red zone. He became a threat there. And as a route runner, short to intermediate game, phenomenal in that area. Those skinny posts and those slants, he gets natural separation off those. And then even the vertical releases, I was impressed with. He has the route running skills that someone's going to fall in love with, and they can move him in the slot and outside. He's got that versatility. Teams will have to rely on the production. He's one of those guys, like you said, if you're relying on production and not testing numbers, Tyler Johnson definitely checks that box. But with so many receivers clustered together on everyone's board, it's really difficult to project right now.
78 catches, 15 per, 12 touchdowns for Tyler Johnson this past season. Looking at Rodney Smith, of course, the NFL thought about running backs is that, of course, you want somebody who's proven to be durable, proven to be dynamic and all those things in college, but maybe in limited doses. You don't want somebody that's been beat up for 4 years. It's interesting with Rodney Smith. He's been the workhorse at times, but it's been awfully spread out because of injuries and just a long career and sharing carries at Minnesota.
Yeah, Rodney Smith is gaining interest from several NFL teams. When I talked to him, he said the Panthers, the Redskins, the 49ers. He specifically mentioned how those teams really fit his rushing style. 49ers with the outside zone rushing scheme that Minnesota ran so well last year. If you watch the Nebraska game, it's one of the best executed outside zone games of the season that they had, and Rodney thrives in that type of a scheme. So undrafted free agent most likely, but he's gaining interest from NFL teams, and I'm certain that he's going to get a shot, especially when you factor in how versatile he was. He was solid in pass protection, helped on blitz pickup a lot last year. Didn't really see all the flashes of potential with him as a receiver. And then not only that, has experience with kickoff returns, so he can provide value on special teams. And that's what you have to do if you want to crack an NFL roster on the back half.
I'm guessing that Rodney Smith is going to be one of the few people chosen in the NFL draft or in any camp in the NFL once they are able to hit the field that was on a collegiate football field in a game in 2014. It was just one. But then in 2015, even, there are not going to be a whole lot of guys that played back in 2015 that are going to factor in this weekend. But very productive season, 679 total carries throughout his career and 29 rushing touchdowns and 65 catches. Daniel House on the line talking Gopher football, the NFL draft upcoming this weekend. Anybody we're missing that could possibly factor in or projects to have an NFL career, even if they have to go the free agent route?
Well, Chris Williamson's a name to keep an eye on. He's received quite a bit of interest from NFL teams. He transferred here from Florida, was matched up with a lot of the dynamic receivers the Gophers played over the course of the past 2 seasons with KJ Hamler and Rondale Moore. The scheme really was built around him being able to handle those guys. And he had one of the biggest plays of the year last year against Penn State in the red zone against KJ Hamler, knocking that pass away when Penn State was making a late charge. Williamson fits well in a defensive scheme where maybe you're running some more dime packages. You have him as a dime hybrid player. So he has the movement skills of a DB, but he also possesses the physicality of a linebacker. So watch schemes like that where there's versatility and they're looking for players to play multiple roles in like nickel, dime packages, stuff like that. Williamson is gaining attention from NFL teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's 7th round, but probably most likely a UDFA. And then Kamal Martin. We don't know about what's going to happen with him. He was invited to the Senior Bowl in the Combine, but was rehabbing a knee injury. So it's difficult. No testing metrics there. Had production last year, 15 tackle game against Nebraska, multiple double-digit performances in terms of tackles. Kamal provides value as a blitzer, as the length and athleticism, a downhill run defender. accumulated a lot of tackles at Minnesota, despite a smaller sample size with injuries last year. So Kamal, another person that is on the back half of the draft on the fringy UDFA. And then Sam Renner has gained a ton of interest from NFL teams. Talk with nearly half the league. Posted a really impressive relative athletic score, 9.85, was disruptive at the 3 technique position last year. I encourage people to watch the game against Nebraska. That's really where he made his mark. And he has the versatility to play defensive end or 3 tech at the next level. Actually was second among interior defensive tackles in tackling grade with an 85 behind Derek Brown and Auburn, according to Pro Football Focus. So Renner, sleeper that teams have been interested in after watching his tape.
Renner not going to jump out at you in regards to looking at the stats in particular, but he's a defensive lineman and interior, so there's a lot of factors that are involved there. And as Daniel says, came down the stretch with some improved play. And Kamal Martin, 4th on the team in total tackles this year with 59 and 3.5 tackles for loss. Daniel House breaking down the NFL draft. You can catch him on Skor North and also on Gopher Hole.